From the studio in Nitro, West Virginia, this is Unreasonable Doubt. It's a podcast about West Virginia University basketball. I'm Josh Witt, and the portal is about to close. So if you're going to get in, I'm recording this on April 22nd, you got to get in. Your time's running out. By the time this is published, it's already closed. So if you're hearing this, it's too late. But the portal will continue to stay active in that you're in the portal, you got to find a home, and West Virginia's got spots available. Since the last episode, West Virginia has 2 more portal signings. Well, 1 commitment and 1 signing. The commitment, Chance Moore, 6'6" wing who played at St. Bonaventure last season. Prior 2 seasons, he was at Missouri State, and he played 5 games at Arkansas prior to Missouri State. So technically, he's played for 4 seasons with that 5 games at Arkansas. I believe that was prior to when you could do the redshirt thing. So I don't know. I don't know if he has eligibility, but I'm guessing, well, West Virginia's history with waivers. And yes, the rules can change just like that. Anyways, Chance Moore, he played in the Coliseum once in his time with Missouri State. It was the season opener of the Josh Eilert interim season. West Virginia had 8 players available, held on. They were losing to Missouri State at halftime before coming back and winning Josh Eilert's debut game. Chase went for 24-8 in the Coliseum. So he likes the Coliseum. At St. Bonaventure, he had 5 double-doubles. And so we'll see about his eligibility. Everybody else that has committed, West Virginia has had the official graphic saying that they're that they're signed. The only one we're waiting on as of right now is Chance Moore. And so we'll see how it goes. The last ad was made on Easter Sunday night as far as the commitment. And this is Trayson Eaglestaff. Real person, Chance Moore, real person. Trayson, 6'6" guard from Bismarck, North Dakota, played 3 seasons for North Dakota, the University of North Dakota. And this guy, he likes to shoot the basketball. And he's made 8 threes in a game twice last season. 4 games in his career with North Dakota where he scored 30+, including a 51-point game in the Summit League tournament last month, 40-point game earlier this last season versus Alabama at home. Also had a game where he scored 0 points this season. But what you lead with is he scored 51 in a game, in a college basketball game. So was North Dakota good? No. 2 of Trayson's 3 seasons at North Dakota, they had losing records. Is Trayson Eaglestaff good at shooting the basketball? It seems like it. At any level, if you can score 51, that's impressive. And so he's coming to Morgantown. He's got 1 year of eligibility. So Ross Hodge has 8 guys for the 2025-2026 season. The roster, as far as scholarships, you can have 15 starting this season. 15 scholarships, 15-guy roster limit. And so that means you got 7 more to bring in. And most likely, none of them will be returning from this season's Mountaineer roster. Abraham Oyedire, who we didn't see this year, redshirted. He announced he's in the portal, so he did make it. But in his announcement online, he did leave open the possibility of returning to WVU. But even if Abe does that, West Virginia, in Ross Hodge's first season, will be returning 0% of the minutes from last season and 0% of the scoring from last season. Everybody is either out of eligibility as of right now, committed to another school, or they're in the transfer portal waiting to go somewhere besides Morgantown. Abe's the only one on record saying, maybe I'll come back. And it's a complete roster turnover in Ross Hodge's first season. And it was some of the allure that brought him to Morgantown, besides knowing Ren Baker, is that this guy has a junior college background, very comfortable with large, sweeping roster changes. And that's great in year one. I mean, in this kind of crazy last 4 seasons, and even if you look in this decade for WVU basketball, you see that retention number of returning minutes, returning scoring go from in the 70s in the season that got the tournament canceled because of pandemic, down to it's going to be 0 and 0. 0 minutes, 0 scoring this season. 24-25, the last head coach technically brought back 5.3% of the minutes and 2.8% of the scoring from the 2023-2024 team. But that included Ofri Neve, who redshirted this season, and Aiden Tagaloa Nelson, who was a walk-on on scholarship for football, and Aiden played 2 minutes this past season. And Aiden's in the football transfer portal. I don't know the rules on is there multiple portals? Is there one portal and there's like a football room and a basketball room and a women's basketball? Like, I don't know how it works. If they're separate portals, it sounds complicated, and it probably isn't, but Aiden's out because he's in the football transfer portal. So I'm assuming he's in the basketball transfer portal too. Ofri's in the basketball transfer portal. He did not leave it open about coming back to Morgantown. And so at this point, with everybody gone, I wish the entire 2024-2025 WVU basketball roster the best in their future endeavors, some more than others. Won't get into that. But the portal closes today. WVU has 1 center. I would say you need more than 1. Going out a limb, and they got 7 spots, and one of those 7 spots should be a center. Doesn't have to be 7 foot. 7 foot, it's just nice to say you have 2 7-footers on the roster. Could they be 6'10" or 6'11"? I'm not picky. Just play. Wellington Smith played the 5. We need another big. We need another center. And then after that, then you got 6 spots, and just get guys. Get guys with size that's going to play defense. But the only need is you need another big guy, because Obioha, that guy is not, he's not a 35-minute guy. And he would tell you that. So you need at least another big guy. But the other thing that Ross Hodge needs to do, my opinion, is to bring in guys that have some eligibility after the 2025-2026 season. Got to do it. And he's got 1 high school transfer that will have 4 years of eligibility. I don't know if we'll even see him on the court this season, but he has eligibility after this season. The other 7 guys do not. They are going to be one and done. So as it stands right now, if Ross says this is my team, then next season only, and if DeAndre doesn't play and doesn't get game time, he can redshirt and he can have eligibility after this. The other guys are done. And so that leaves the possibility for 2 seasons in a row, as it stands right now, of West Virginia returning 0% of their scoring and 0% of their minutes. And that's not good. That is bad. And I know it's a transfer portal era. Even in the transfer portal era, that is bad. Fact. Let me give you some stats. Here are the Big 12 regular season champs for this decade, the 2020s. I'm going to give you the percentage of minutes and the percentage of points that these regular season champs returned from the prior season. You're not going to hear a 0%. Houston has won it the last 2 years. This season, they returned 75% of their minutes and 73% of their scoring. They got to the national championship game, lost a close one to Florida. Houston won it 2 seasons ago. They brought back 50% of their minutes and 46% of their returning scoring. Made it to the Sweet 16. Shed gets injured. They lose it too. Two Houston regular season championships. They returned some minutes and scoring. Kansas won the Big 12 3 seasons ago now. 37% returning minutes, 26% returning scoring. The previous season, regular season co-champs, Baylor, they returned 40% of their minutes and 37% of their scoring. And Kansas returned 71% of their minutes, 74% of their scoring, and won the national championship. The previous season, Baylor was the regular season Big 12 champs. They returned 68% of their minutes, 72% of their scoring, and they won the national championship. And in the pandemic season, Kansas won the Big 12 regular season, 43% returning minutes and 41% returning scoring. They couldn't be the national champions because there wasn't a tournament because of the pandemic. If you look at the national champions in the 21st century, so from Michigan State in the 1999-2000 season to Florida this season, every national champion had at least returning minutes and returning scoring in the 30s. At least 30% returning minutes and scoring. And some of the national champions are in the 90s. And so to win the national championship, that's your baseline. What history says over 25 years, you can't win it all with 0%. This is not an indictment on Ross Hodge. He hasn't been in the job a month. I'm not putting this on him, but looking ahead, and you hate to look ahead for the WVU basketball program, given the state of affairs the last 4 seasons. I'm encouraged by what they're doing in the transfer portal. I like Ross Hodge. But when you see goose eggs, then you look at, well, what do you need to get to, even in the transfer portal era? And I read you the stats for the last 5 seasons in the Big 12, last 6 seasons, excuse me. And the lowest percentage of returning scoring came from Kansas, and Kansas recruits like Kansas, right? But it ain't 0, but it's over a quarter of their scoring returning from the previous season. So I'm comfortable saying that history says there's a ceiling on how well you can perform if you don't keep players for multiple seasons. And the transfer portal started in 2018. You can't do it with zeros. And again, Ross Hodge has been here less than a month. Ross Hodge is comfortable working the transfer portal. He's comfortable with turning over rosters. I like that, especially in year 1, where you just know going in that the possibility of 0% returning scoring and minutes is possible. Then that's great. And you don't have to retain more than half of the scoring and minutes. But you gotta bring back some. It can't be zeros. And so let's see, with these 7 spots remaining, how he fills out the rest of the roster. And there's a guy whose nickname is Smurf. He was reported to be on campus a day for a visit. I'm sure there's other guys swirling. They're going to get the 15 roster spots. You got to hope that the rest of the roster is filled in with guys who have the possibility of playing another season in Morgantown. Unreasonable Doubt is under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Go to smokingmusket.com. Read posts about WVU sports, Daily Throwdown. Check that out. Go to the Discord. We're talking about WVU sports and other stuff on the Smoking Musket Discord. Link for that is in the show notes. Listen to West by Pod, the WVU football podcast under the Smoking Musket umbrella. Do all that stuff. Smoking Musket. So let's see what he does. The good news, and if you listen to this podcast for any amount of time, you know, you set the bar. If you set the bar low, it's easier to overachieve. And so for Ross Hodge, as far as the goal of retaining players, you can't set the bar any lower than zeros. I mean, the retention bar was like a limbo stick. It's not even like the limbo stick is on the ground. It'd be like, hold on a second. Let's carve out a spot to put the limbo stick, the retention stick, level with the ground. That's the starting point. And so the goal is to have more than zero, so he can't do worse. He could, in theory, equal the returning minutes and points from this upcoming season. He could return for the next season zeros, and that would equal what he's going to have this season, this upcoming, his first season. But the aim, I think, is 30%. I think that's a fair thing to do. And to do that, not only do you have to bring in guys with multiple years of eligibility, you got to have guys that are going to play, because to bring back minutes and points, that means who you bring in has to be in the rotation. And right now, you've got 7 guys who are looking to play and be in the rotation, which is great. But unless Ross Hodge is going to play 10 deep, then even if he fills the roster with guys with multiple years of eligibility, they got to get on the court, because you bring them back, the numbies are still going to say zero if they're riding the pine all season. So the aim is 30%. You might not get there in year 2, but the idea that you can just wholesale roster change every year and have an acceptable level of performance, not only do I disagree with that, as from a fan perspective, what am I rooting for? I'm not aiming this at Ross Hodge. This is fueled by what's happened the last 4 seasons. But also, think about, I mean, even the Olympics, they do it every 4 years, and you got people that come back. That's every 4 years. I'm not looking for Chase Harlers and Logan Routs or even Emmett Matthews, who walked on senior day and played 4 seasons with the Mountaineers, and he snuck in a season at Washington in between. I'm not asking for 5 or 4 or even 3, but let's aim for 2. Hey, Utah, give me 2. Hey, Josh, it's the portal era. Everybody's a free agent. That's great. I'm telling you what is shown, history says, as what is successful. And it ain't 0 and 0. Again, not mad at Ross Hodge. I'm already jumping ahead. It's April. We're so far from the beginning of the 2025-2026 season. It's just eye-popping. Just you're staring at 0%. And it was essentially 0% last season. And it wasn't great the season before. And you got to retain some. So that's what I'm looking for the final 7 spots. More than 1 year of eligibility and can play this season. to bump the numbies up from 0 and 0. They can't go down. I went through Basketball Reference a bunch, and I've never looked and seen that a team returned negative 8% of their minutes. And I don't, maybe I can't, that maybe Goodwill Hunting too, they could have that on the chalkboard. Like, hey, a team had negative 8% returning minutes and negative 15% returning scoring. How? And that I'd watch that movie. I'd be in on that. It doesn't seem like a long movie. That's it for this episode of Unreasonable Doubt. Listen on all the platforms or just pick one. Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Overcast Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube. Until next time, I'm Josh Witt. WVU for the 2025-2026 season, they have 0 wins and they have 0 losses.